This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Nice strike! Oh, better than nice!
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Duri. I am your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Hope you're having a blessed day wherever you're tuned in around the world. There's Pulse 95, Pulse95radio.com, 95 FM, Sharjah Broadcasting Authority app, or even if you're live on the Instagram at Omar Duri. Hope you guys are having a blessed day, and I have a great show in store for you today. Now, we all like a good story when it comes down to the underdog, but how about trying to fight for your place for 10 years? 10 years trying to fight for your place and actually no hope in trying to achieve goals that you could probably imagine, and then you win a cup final. Any idea who that is? Text us 4215 Ittasalat or slide into the DMs at Omar Duri on Pulse 95. Now, guys, that's one thing. The FA Cup final just happened. Arsenal fans, you won something. Chelsea fans, you didn't. And now it changes the whole scope of things. Now, we're going to be talking about the managerial strokes and how it went tactically and strategically for both managers coming into this with very similar backgrounds, very new to the job, both exploring a lot of different ideas and reaching a cup final in their first season. So we're going to talk about that. The NBA is back. That's right. Basketball fans, the NBA is back. How do you feel about that? How has it been for you since returning from the COVID-19 era? Let's say that is back. And I'm also taking all your questions and your answers for the whole show. You got Maria, Live for Tariq, Sheikha, FAH, Amna, Spicy, Tariq, Francie, and Invictus as well. Saad, Alia, my favorite national team under 15. She's not 15 anymore. I think she's 17 now, but just mentioning her and giving her a big shout out. Adil, of course, all the way from Jersey, tuned in on the Halftime Show. And actually, before I forget, here we go. Yesterday I was working out, trying to stay fit, albeit with one leg, and I kept getting called out in the session. So Ryan, this one's for you, my man. Thank you for looking after me yesterday. And of course, everyone else was in the session. Let me see if I can get the names right. Terry, Joe, Richard, Kareen. Oh my God, everyone's going to give me so much stick when I get back. Who am I missing? Oh man, and there's always going to be one as well. Mustafa, I did not forget you, Mustafa, and everyone at the RBO. There you go. If I haven't, guys, I'll see you tonight and you can tell me all about it. Stay tuned, guys, for more on the only place to be at 3, the Halftime Show on Pulse 95.
Oh, he loves the fire, and what a goal!
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al Duri on Pulse 95.
Salam, welcome back to the Halftime Show with Omar Al Duri. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Now, I want you, the listeners and the viewers, to be trying to put yourself in this position. I've got a character here. He's an athlete. He's someone that was put in a few situations. Some people don't know this. He's the longest serving player in the Arsenal team. However, it wasn't all plain sailing and fun and games for this player. Why? Because of the mentality, the failure, the success that he recently achieved after a chain of events that could have shaped or broken his career. Now, a lot of the times when you're involved in sport or even in life, you have to make decisions, and you have to make decisions based on your worth, based on the belief that you need to have. This is a player that for 10 years has not had an opportunity to shine, has not had an opportunity to progress in his career. Now, here is what I want you to do. I want you to picture yourself in this person's shoes. He's been on loan he's been on loan 7 times. And for those that don't know what on loan means, it means that when you're a club or your employer and they don't include you in their plans, you can go on loan to gain experience. Now, for 10 years, he's been on loan at Oxford United, Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham, Wolves, Getafe, and Reading. And in that time, he could have easily left because he wasn't getting the opportunity he required. Now, we enter lockdown, and it happens where COVID-19 hits, where everyone has to go home. Everyone has to be isolated. You have to train by yourself and everything. Now, I want you to picture this. Arsenal have a number 1 goalkeeper in Bernard Leno. And in having so, he is by far the number 1 keeper and has been since he arrived. As soon as that happens, this player and this athlete starts to train really hard at home. Now, after 10 years of the door being shut in his face, finally he has the opportunity to train not because he knows he's going to play, because so far the situation is unprecedented. We don't know when we're going to come back. Arsenal do come back, and against Brighton, the number one choice goalkeeper gets injured. Once he gets injured, this is an opportunity for Emi Martinez to step up. Now, during lockdown, what people don't know is he was training extremely hard, to the point where his wife had said, "Why are you training so hard? You know, it's lockdown." And he said, "I need to take my opportunity if it comes." Now, no one would have guessed that a freak accident like it did against Brighton would happen to Bernard Leno, where it would be a serious injury. Emi Martinez steps in and takes his opportunity and is outstanding for the remainder of the season, possibly being a huge part of why Arsenal reached the FA Cup final. Now, in doing so, for those that don't know, as soon as this player starts to get a few games, his agent starts knocking on the door and saying, "This is great, you're playing really well, where do you want to go next year?" Now, very easy for us to say, he can go here, he can go there. However, as a footballer, as an athlete, or even as a person, you tend to get distracted by the attention that you get. And this is where I want your ideas on. This player ignores his agent, knowing he's always been a number 2 for the last 10 years. He's also the longest serving player, which means he's been there the longest out of the whole squad, and he's never ever talked about. We reached the FA Cup final, as Arsenal do, and when they do, he plays a huge, significant role, winning and obviously resorting to tears. So many things with this player relates to everyday life, in the sense that football is a cruel game and an injury can make or break your season. In this case, it has made his season, and now is in a situation where he has to decide whether he's going to stay at Arsenal or move on as a number 1. That is the question for today. What would you do as Emi Martinez? You've waited for 10 years for your opportunity. You've got your opportunity. You know that you're not the number 1, but you have fought for it. And all of a sudden now you are in the place where you can actually call yourself an Arsenal player. That's what I want you guys to think about. It's very, very interesting, because a lot of people have different approaches. It would have been very easy to give up. It would have been, how many times have we been in a situation where we keep trying, and the door keeps closing and closing and closing, and in doing so, we kind of divert our attention elsewhere. That would have been a very easy choice. However, he didn't. And also making that choice with 3 managers in the same season, having played for Argentina under-17s twice and the under-20 team 5 times, Emi Martinez is now 27 and at a stage in his career where he has to make a decision. What's next for him? What would you do if you're Emi Martinez? All the things you have battled and faced up to date has been a huge, credit to your personality. His wife said, "Why are you training so hard?" He said, "In case the opportunity comes." And then the opportunity does come and he takes it. And is a fan favorite now already. And you can see how much it meant to him by being in tears by winning a cup final. Now, to many people, that might not be a big deal, because they're saying, "Yep, cup final." But let me tell you something. When you're actually in that environment, your life is on the line and your future is on the line. And some people haven't won trophies and some people haven't experienced finals. And that is why it's so interesting where this leaves this personality, because he's been so humble and so gracious in victory, in defeat. Throughout his career, he's now able to put himself in a position where Arteta has a huge headache, his manager, on who's going to be the number 1 next year, and how is Arteta going to handle and manage the personality of Emi Martinez now that he has shown what he can do. He has said no one joins to be a number 2. This is now something that is huge, and I say this to everyone out there, because we've all been in a situation where the door has been closed, be it work, be it social life, be it family, friends, you name it. We've been there where the door has been closed. And this athlete right here has been back and forward for 10 years until he got his opportunity 1 month ago. And in doing so has already done what a lot of people haven't. Even under the managers of Tottenham like Pochettino and all these people, they haven't been in the position that Emi Martins has been. And you know what? Sometimes they say good things happen to those who wait. Persistence, and when opportunity meets preparation, success happens. I read that once before and it stuck with me for life. That is the story of Emi Martinez. I hope you enjoyed it. And coming up next, yes, Arsenal fans, yes, Chelsea fans, we are going to be talking about the FA Cup final and where it went right and wrong on the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95.
Oh, he lifts the fire and what a goal!
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the halftime show with Omar Duri. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Wow, Arsenal have played in the FA Cup final against Chelsea. Probably the underdogs, Arsenal, coming into this. What did you guys think of the game? 4215, hit the salat or do, or slide into the DMs at Omar Duri and let me know what you made of the final. Now, many things coming into this final in terms of strategy, in terms of tactics. Let's try and dissect it together as we get through this segment. Now, coming into this cup final, very rare in the sense Mikel Arteta, the Arsenal manager, was up against Frank Lampard, the Chelsea manager. Both their first season, if you want to call Arteta's 8 months a season, where joining in December following Unai Emery and Freddie Ljungberg is awful start. Now, saying that, many things in terms of being a tactician, being a strategist, taking decisions to the other team was coming in. If we look at both teams coming in, I would say Chelsea, having finished 4th, joint on points with Manchester United and making it into the Champions League, would have been slight favourites, especially coming into the form of Pulisic, who was their danger man coming into this. And also, Olivier Giroud's tendency to play very well against Arsenal. That was something that was very interesting coming into this in the psychology. Now, however, on the other side, David Luiz was playing in an Arsenal shirt, and this season has been suspect to say the least. Mikel Arteta has brought out a tune of him, but saying that was something that every Arsenal fan, I'm sure, would have been terrified of. Now, with looking at this thing, in breaking it down tactically and strategically, so many things was, worth having a look at. Firstly, Olivier Giroud playing in that role that he normally plays in to hold up the ball, forced Arsenal to play a high line, knowing the pace would be lacking. However, what Chelsea did, which was very interesting and started off much better than Arsenal, was the ability, rather than having a 4-3-3 with Mason Mount and Pulisic out on the wings, having them both as false number 10s in the hole. The idea and the strategy was for Frank Lampard to bring those two players as the ball gets played through the thirds to be able to break Ceballos and Xhaka's midfield. In doing so, they would isolate and expose Arsenal's weakness, which is their defence, especially David Luiz. Rob Holding stepped in for Mustafi, and we had Tierney, who was outstanding throughout the game. That worked early on, and that forced Arsenal to be on the back foot, conceding a goal very early on, and Pulisic was the main man, as we predicted coming into this game. Now, in doing so, that was tactically very well put by Lampard, because he knew that would be Arsenal's weak point. I think Arsenal and Chelsea were both, that guy at the gym who's stacked upper body and the defense on the legs is weak. I think that's how Arsenal and Chelsea both came into this game. Very good up top. And then when it came down to the defense and the lower half, nothing to stand on. And so that is how I see, Arsenal and Chelsea coming into this. Lampard started off better. But you know what's made a big difference since the Project Restart? These water breaks. I like to call them tactic breaks. Because as soon as that happened, Mikel Arteta spoke to his players, managed to assess everything that happened in the first 22 minutes and restore order to be able to get Arsenal back on track, because Chelsea were the better team in the first 22 minutes. Now, saying that, it was no coincidence that the best defender in Chelsea, which is Azpilicueta, pulled up with a hamstring, because Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Aubameyang tested them 4 or 5 times on full sprints down the left, and that caused Azpilicueta to go on the back foot, which normally he's very well known on moving forward and crossing the ball to Giroud, which we've seen so many times in assist and goal ratio. Now, by Arteta doing this, he changed the whole game by isolating Azpilicueta running backwards, forcing him to unfortunately get injured. Now, by him getting injured, that caused a lot of problems, and in doing so, that started off Chelsea's downfall, because their captain and inspirational leader was taken off due to a hamstring injury. That was the first stroke of genius when it came to Arteta. Obviously, he wouldn't have known that Azpilicueta would get injured, but he knew that he would be forcing the mature, experienced player backwards. Doing so, that started to change the game. Zuma moved over to the right, Christensen in the middle, forcing Rudiger to play on the left. Now, that was the first part, which was great by Arteta. Now, saying that, there was a lot of decisions that went against him, but one thing I have to respect is Frank Lampard. After the game, he did say we weren't good enough, rather than blaming the referee, which is probably the easiest thing to do, especially the second yellow card for Kovacic, which wasn't a yellow card and neither deserved a sending off. VAR plays a big part in that, and that caused a lot of problems regarding the flow of the game. 73rd minute, that's when the second yellow came in and changed the game. I hope you're with me so far. Plenty to talk about on this. Now, also saying that, in the past, Arsenal have been accused of having quite a soft belly, being quite soft and not being able to man up against the other teams. When you look at this game and you analyze it and really dive into it, when Chelsea were committing several fouls, 14-3 if you really want stats, Arsenal responded back with a lot of maturity. Yes, there were some dodgy decisions there in terms of the free kicks. However, what I will say is that's something that Arteta has restored in the team. Now, don't get me wrong, plenty for Arsenal to do, and they definitely need players and they need to get rid of a lot of players. But one thing I will say is when you have the same car and a different driver, it's normally going to drive the same way, if you get what I mean. And Arteta has managed to get in the car with the same engine, with the same car, and drive at least on the right path. And that's why, in terms of management, there's very, very positive signs here. Now, both coaches have a lot of potential and both coaches will be a force. I actually think Chelsea will be able to challenge City next year, especially if they identify that defense. And saying that, instead of spending 80 million on Havertz, if they actually spent that money on Koulibaly or someone where they'd be able to organize their defense, that would be very, very impressive. And they would have Kante's back, and they would have Mason Mount and Pulisic and all these players be able to really show the talent that they do have. So hard luck, Chelsea fans. This isn't an Arsenal show, this isn't an Arsenal takeover, but we won the cup. So I'm very, very happy with that. And I will say, an extraordinary cup final. It could have gone either way. Chelsea finished 4th, Arsenal finished 8th, but Arsenal take a trophy, something that Tottenham haven't done for a very long time. And that's how we're going to wrap up. But coming up next, guys, NBA fans, who's the king and who's the prince of the NBA since it's been back? Let me know, 4215 Etisalat Odu, or slide into the DMs at Omar Duri on Instagram. Let's do this. Peace.
Oh, he loves the fire, then what a goal!
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international, local. What a day. We're feeling the vibes and the energy in the studio. If you missed the last show, we had Arij on the show, national team footballer at the UAE women's team. It was amazing. It was great to have her on, actually. We got a chance to speak and talk about things. I hope you guys have had an incredible Eid as well. And thank you everyone who's tuned in on the Instagram live at Omar Al-Duri. Great show in store. If you're missing what's happened so far, we spoke about, you know, having the door shut in your face as an athlete, as a human being, whether it's at work. I mean, we've all been through it, but having that done for 10 years and not having the opportunity to shine, the personality and the story of Emi Martinez, if you don't know, check it out. Or even listen to the podcast, actually, when that comes out, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple, and Anghami. Emi Martinez had the door shut in his face for 10 years, being told he wasn't good enough, having question marks over his ability and his future from everyone, friends, family, people that don't know him, his agent, and he stuck at it and he made the right decision. And sometimes it's quite a shame when you have a look at, you know, people making the wrong decisions and not fulfilling their potential. And that's why I really like the story of Emi Martinez. So that was in segment 1. In segment 2, we spoke about the Arsenal-Chelsea FA Cup final. We broke it down tactically and strategically. I tried not to be biased, but Tottenham fans, haha. So that was regarding that. And of course now, you know, NBA is back. NBA fans, where you are, I know you always be looking for your basketball. NBA is back. How do you feel with, you know, the return of basketball, albeit with no fans? Is something missing? That's another thing. You know, Westbrook helped Rockets edge the Bucks. You had the Raptors, they topped LeBron's Lakers. Warren celebrates special night. Everyone talks about the king of basketball, and kind of LeBron takes that mantle. I think everyone can kind of agree on that. Maybe not LA Lakers fans, but I think everyone generally can say that LeBron's got the king status. But when it comes to the prince status, the future, are we looking at Kawhi Leonard? Are we looking at Zion? All these people, why isn't Zion playing enough? That's another thing. When it comes to nurturing young talent, normally we say, let them play. They got no fear. I don't understand why coaches be holding athletes back when they've got that drive, when they've got that potential. I don't get it. Guys, tell me, man. Message me on 4215 Itasalat or who's the prince of basketball? Basketball is back, albeit with no fans. How do you feel about this virtual thing as well? I was going to say virtual thing. How do you feel about this virtual, fans being in stadiums and having their, expression come up on the screen? I don't know, man. I'm grateful sport is back. That's something I'll say. And it was killing me when I had no sport. So that was something I'd definitely say has been missing. But I'm kind of looking forward to, I've heard murmurs that we might get 30% occupancy back. I know the American football is going to be back, and I'm probably trying to get a guest on there who's a sports lawyer who has an inside scoop on what's happening in NFL and things like that. I'm going to try and pick her brain because the fans are going to be back for that. Now, that's interesting. The US and the UK are a bit different to how things are out here, so I'm kind of interested to see how that would go. UFC has been back with no fans. You can hear the coaches. You can hear, the staff that are there. You saw Dan Hardy get at it with a referee for making the wrong decision. So many things. Florin, all the way from New York, is saying VR fan is a crab, but we need to be able to be thankful that the players want to play. Zion is a kid and needs to grow mentally for the NBA. I agree with you, Flo. I think Zion does need to grow for NBA, but the way to grow is to play. And when you play, sometimes you can coach someone and show them videos and tapes and everything. But when you actually play, you learn through the experience. So I would like to see Zion thrown in there and see, how he responds. Michael Jordan was the same. He failed many times, and that was kind of his stance. Now, albeit he is a talent that, is one every million players, but still, people don't always have the first best season, but they learn through it. There's mentality, there's drive, there's hard work, there's all these things, perseverance. We spoke about Emi Martinez taking him 10 years to reach a cup final. There's so many things that kind of define a player. And when it comes down to Zion and when it comes to Kawhi Leonard and all these up-and-coming prospects in the NBA, I'd like to see them thrown into it with the big boys to be able to show their talent and showcase how far or how close the level is. Sometimes you don't know until you're in it. Shout out to Bana as well. I see you on the Instagram Live. And that's what I would like to see. 4215, who is the prince of the NBA and why? Let me know. Slide into the DMs at Omar Duri. And coming up next, we take your questions and answers for the session today that we're doing online on Only Place to Be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95.
Oh, he lifts the fire and what a goal!
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the halftime show with Omar Duri. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you're tuned in around the world, whether it's 95 FM, Pulse95Radio.com, our app, Sharjah Broadcasting Authority. Normally the YouTube, I'm not sure what's happening with that at the moment, but we are also live on Instagram, so that's great to have that interaction. And you have been throwing in your questions. Hatem, what do you think about the altercation between Lampard and Klopp? Passion and normal in my eyes, but for the watching public. I think, to be honest, Hatem, regarding that, Lampard knew what he was doing. The stadiums normally are full of 50, 60,000 people, where even I've played in stadiums that had 200 people, not even that many, and I could hear what people were saying. So I think Lampard wanted to kind of show that he's got a bit of Mourinho in him and show he's got the personality and the fire. But you know what? Klopp was very reserved. He kind of laughed it off and then was called arrogant. And I kind of think sometimes silence makes people even more aggravated. And I think that's why Lampard reacted the way he did. I hope that answers your question. I don't really think you have to be vocal about things to be able to make your point. Sometimes being quiet actually hurts even more. Dinner with Flo. Remove Luis and replace with Boateng. I don't know if that's any better, Florin. Again, I mean, you gave me that that statement about Bale and this, you're not doing yourself any credit today, my bro. Dinner with Flo, you know they sleep. Yeah, they do sleep, bro. And I've seen you play at college level and you were top draw. I watched Inter play for the first time after the FA Cup and man, I was pleasantly surprised. I agree with you, Murad, 100%. And you know what, guys? That's the thing. It comes down to it. Personalities, game management, and everything else. It plays a big part, not just in sport, but in life. And speaking of a big part in the industry, we've got Mikey. Have I got his microphone? Yes, Mikey. What's up, Mikey?
Hello.
How you doing?
Alhamdulillah, it's been a great 4-day long weekend.
Yeah.
Been able to recover, been able to rejuvenate. And the best part about a 4-day long weekend is a lot of stories start piling up. Big announcements from movies to video games. And that's what Afternoon Karak will be covering up today. Some announcements from Netflix themselves. They'll be talking about 2 video game adaptations that they're working on. One that is the Splinter Cell series, as well as the Good and Bad. What's it called? The Good and Evil.
Okay.
These are games I'm sure you're like...
I'm trying to...
A little, you see, where you're about sports and it goes way over my head. With you, games is like way over... Yeah, I play FIFA.
Actually, I was going to ask you about Football Manager because that's the only game I kind of play from the football.
I've seen some gameplay footage. It's very strategic.
Yeah.
You know, I think if someone like me can get into it, you know, the whole point of a video game is to ease people into any type of genre, whether it's sports, whether it's action, adventure, horror, stuff like that. It's all about game design and how to get a player into it. So, yeah. Besides that, also we got some updates on the Amazon Lord of the Rings series. Some major characters from the original trilogy will be showcased in the series, the original series that Amazon is working on. Still no updates besides that, but be sure to tune in for all of that and much more on the Afternoon Karak.
Mikey, I also want to ask you one question before I let you go into your fantastic show.
Yeah.
Now, the PlayStation 5, okay? A lot of people have said it's premature to get it early. You've obviously done your research and done your homework on this. Would you advise the half-timers to jump on that now or wait?
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
No rush. No rush at all. The PlayStation 4, even the Xbox One, if you're using any of those, the library of games, the roster of games you have on it is tremendous. And it's great to have a new generation of consoles coming in. But in terms of the library of games, the launch titles are just going to be a few in between. Maybe it won't satisfy all of people out there. Like maybe there'll just be the FIFA 2021, there'll be the NBA. But besides that, you'll have to wait a bit longer until the library of games really get flushed out. So no rush at all. Take a year or two before you actually get yourself a next generation console. And by then...
A year or two?
It's fine because because the PS4, I think there's still so much playability behind it. You can really spend a lot more time on it before you jump into PS5. And again, really no rush at all.
I like that. And there you heard it first, guys. But guys, make sure you tune in to Afternoon Karak with Mikey and Aisha Al-Mazmi. They are unbelievable. I love these guys. And also, I actually learned 1 or 2 things on my way back. It's always my drive back. When I'm driving home, I'm listening to these guys and I'm always picking up something that might actually do you the world of good. So make sure you tune into that, guys. And remember, you can catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, 3 to 4 on the Halftime Show. That's me, Omar Duri, and Mikey Mikel Atiyah out from the Halftime Show. It's full time. Peace.
The heart of Sharjah. The heart of Sharjah. Pulse 95.